Episode 2, A Whispered Accusation. Days passed, and the tension in the parish grew thick, like the oppressive weight of a storm about to break. Miriam's sudden shift in behavior gnawed at me. The once bright light in her eyes had dimmed, replaced by a guarded, almost fearful expression. Every time I approached her, she found an excuse to leave, avoiding even the briefest conversation. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Perhaps the weight of her past was catching up to her. Perhaps she needed time and space to heal. But deep down, a part of me couldn't ignore the unease that had taken root. It was a quiet evening when everything changed. I had just finished evening prayers, the chapel illuminated by the soft glow of candles, when a messenger knocked on the rectory door. "The council requests your presence immediately, Father Elias," he said, his tone devoid of the usual warmth. I followed him through the dimly lit corridors, my heart pounding with a mix of curiosity and dread. When I entered the meeting room, I found the church council seated in a solemn circle. At the head of the table sat Father Lucas, the eldest and most respected among us. His gray hair seemed even more disheveled than usual, his expression grave. "Father Elias," he began, motioning for me to sit. "We have received troubling news that requires immediate attention." I took my seat, my hands clasped tightly to mask the nervous tremor. "What kind of news?" I asked, my voice steady but laced with apprehension. Father Lucas glanced at the others before continuing. "Miriam has come forward with allegations." He hesitated, as if the words themselves were too heavy to speak. "She claims you violated her trust." For a moment, the world seemed to tilt. The weight of the accusation crashed over me like a tidal wave. "Violated her trust?" I repeated, my voice rising in disbelief. "That's a lie. I've done nothing wrong." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Father Lucas raised a hand to calm me. "Please, Father Elias, this is not a trial. We are simply informing you of the situation. Miriam's claims are serious, and until we can ascertain the truth, we have no choice but to suspend your duties." I stared at him, my mind racing. "You can't be serious. You've known me for years, Lucas. You know my character. Why would you believe such a baseless accusation?" "It's not a matter of belief," he said solemnly. "It's about preserving the sanctity of the church. For now, you must leave the parish while we investigate." The room fell silent, the weight of their decision settling like a suffocating shroud. I looked around at the faces of my colleagues, men and women I had served alongside for years, and saw only doubt. With a heavy heart, I rose from my seat. "You're making a mistake," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "But I will leave as you've asked. I only pray that the truth comes to light." Back in my quarters, I packed my belongings in a haze of disbelief. Each item I placed in my bag felt like a piece of my life being stripped away. This church had been my home, my sanctuary, my purpose, and now it felt as though its very walls had turned against me. As I packed, memories flooded my mind. Miriam's tearful plea for help, her quiet smiles as she lit the altar candles, the gratitude in her eyes when I assured her of safety. How could someone who had been so vulnerable twist the truth in such a cruel way? I knelt by my bed, clasping my hands in desperate prayer. "Lord, you know my heart. You know my innocence. Please, guide me through this trial. Reveal the truth." The room was silent, save for the muffled voices of villagers outside. Their words were indistinct, but their tone was unmistakable, accusatory, disdainful. The rumors had already spread. The following morning, I left the parish with a small bag slung over my shoulder. The path out of the village was lined with faces, some curious, some angry, others avoiding my gaze entirely. As I passed the market square, an elderly woman I had once helped refused to meet my eyes. A young boy, whose family I had fed during a harsh winter, hid behind his mother's skirts. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. I made my way to the neighboring village, seeking refuge with an old friend, Father Emmanuel. When he opened the door and saw my haggard appearance, his brow furrowed with concern. "Elias," he said, ushering me inside. "What's happened?" I sank into a chair, exhaustion and despair threatening to overwhelm me. "It's Miriam," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "She's accused me of something terrible, something I didn't do." Father Emmanuel listened intently as I recounted the events. When I finished, he placed a hand on my shoulder. "This is grave, my friend, but if you are innocent, the truth will prevail. Have faith." Faith. The very thing I had built my life upon now felt fragile, like a flickering candle in a gust of wind. That night, as I lay on the cot Father Emmanuel had prepared for me, a chilling thought crept into my mind. If Miriam's accusation was a lie, who or what had compelled her to speak it? Somewhere in the shadows of my exile, the seeds of a darker truth awaited discovery.
End of episode 2. Who could be pulling the strings behind Miriam's accusation? And how deep does the conspiracy against Father Elias run? As doubt consumes him, the priest begins to realize this is only the beginning of his ordeal.
In the heavens high.